aficionados, professionals, and stakeholders like bouncing ideas back and forth about, CAF's decision, following a tribunal, if you like to call it, a meeting they had, to discuss transgressions during the games. Well, this is what it is, A lot of people have said that this casts a very bad precedent for football, and such decisions shouldn't have been made in the first place. That whatever happens in the pitch, whatever transgressions there are, or blunders may have committed should have been amicably, ironed or handled in the pitch there where the football was being played, but to wait almost a month or so, and to overturn an earlier decision, it's a huge blow to the football community, the world at large. But anyways, aside from that, we are in Sierra Leone. We have more pressing concerns to talk about. Of course, we're still talking about the welfare of the people, ensuring that those who are elected deliver for the people of this country, and also to talk about your civic responsibilities, as citizens, because you too have a duty to the state. And while we are discussing all of these things, it's always sensible to give context to whatever is being said. Now, I know that a lot of people have become overly, political in this country, extremely toxic, dangerously, fanatical, and recklessly sycophantic, if you like. These are all words that used to paint, the naivety, the gross naivety, the recklessness of some certain people, the dogmatic holdings on particular beliefs, dissuading or shoveling aside, the general view, the view that is held by the common man. For a lot of people, it's about what they're benefiting from politicians, They couldn't call them libele, sycophants. Sycophants are everywhere in this country. Let's talk about those who are actually receiving government contracts for a while, There are a lot of people who get to benefit, or stand the privilege or chance to get government contracts on a monthly, daily basis, to run the government. So as I told you earlier, government is everyone. Private sector, public sector, individual citizens, people who have access to the rank and file of government, people who are quite placed, quite connected to the government of the day, to the movers and shakers of the economy. These are the people who make decisions for the state every day. So often we talk about service delivery, but service delivery goes beyond government, right? It goes beyond government or the government of the day. It involves private individuals who have created companies, entrepreneurs, contractors, people who are hired by government to deliver on key, deliverables, goals which the government had set when they first took up office. And in most cases, often, these contractors fail, woefully so, with flying colors. Yeah, they fail with international distinction in some of the things that, they are called to do. Hardly would you hear people talk about them, There are satanically corrupt people, the private sector. Satanically corrupt, dangerously, toxically, caustically corrupt people, who stop at nothing but to suck the wealth of the state, convert monies that are meant to fund projects which government may have given to them to implement certain projects. And I was just listening to my, elder colleague and, Lamon Abba, who was talking about the Sewa Grounds market. When the president went to that place to actually unveil that particular market, the people were so happy, were jubilant, you could see from their faces, the rush of adrenaline, the easiness, the comfort, the joy that they exuded while listening to the president make his speech then, I'm quite happy that, alas, a solution has come, a solution that would see them have, bigger market stalls, more decent environments to sell, to hawk for their living, better conditions, But that hasn't happened, Right from that time when that particular place was commissioned up till now, it's closed, I was talking about it just now, and it's a shame that presidents don't go unveil a particular place. He may have actually. So my take is this: whoever does something to make the government look bad, to make the president look bad, should be arrested and jailed or even charged. If that money they give you for deliver on particular service, you not deliver them, government for sue you in a court, then take all that money they plus interest now you earn. But I mean, to quote the current ACC commissioner, people should be flogged now publicly, properly flogged, beaten soberly, If we begin find people so what should they do for us? Oh, ketchup and corruption, will they give good licking, sober beats, beat you like then 10 dozen so now public. After we don't trash you up, serious leaking, then they sue you, you pay the money with thief in a government and for project to enable deliver. After you don't do that, you don't pay plus interest, then you go jail for like at least then 2 or 3 or 4 years. So pantapol which you don't pay. And you face go then at all public fora. Let them know say you're not a criminal, you are not an ideal and decent person, you are not to be trusted, you have all of the nefarious, social vices that are plaguing people today, and no one should come close to you in business in any way whatsoever. Maybe if we start doing these things, we would see some sanity, in service delivery. Because as I said, service delivery is everyone's business. It's not only about the government. People who were hired a while ago, it was 2 days ago, Phoebe and I interviewed the Minister of Agriculture, who scored actually 100% in the recent government review. We questioned him on certain areas. Particularly for me, I questioned him on malnutrition, food insufficiency. But one thing that came out quite prominently in that interview was the questions I asked him about the tractors that have been bought, the warehouses that are being paid for by government. Even this year, a set of new tractors arrived. But let me tell you something. There are people, as the Minister explained of Agriculture, who governments have trusted. People whom had gained, the trust and privilege of the government to deliver on particular areas. Particularly, let's say, for example, the tricycles, those tractors, machines that are being bought with taxpayers' money by the government to improve agricultural production in Sierra Leone. Those things which have been bought, right? Yeah. There are people who have been entrusted, in whose hands those machines are entrusted every time government makes these purchases or these procurement, if you like to call it that, But they fail. They vandalize government property, as the minister said. They are not proud, they even admitted to that they are sorry that had happened. The people whom they had trusted, with those tractors, with those machines, have actually vandalized them. In some places they are abandoned. That's the reality, so it goes beyond government at times. When things happen, you blame the people as well who are in the private sector, who are being contracted, intermittently to do these projects, to facilitate these things. They don't deliver. But that speaks to the kind of attitude we have in Sierra Leone. We are so evil to one another these days. I don't know why. I mean, evil has spiraled, right? Criminality, toxicity, dangerousness, backbiting, dark-heartedness, We have these devilish, incarnatish kinds of behaviors in us these days. It's killing, It's bad for the future of our society. It's very bad. I mean, we are hoping and praying that things get better, that conditions of service improve, for everyone, including those who are at the subterranean level, the bottom of the scale, those who are at the grassroots, as they like to call them. All man for wicked and money able wash with shower, water for don't aid, wash well. Take towel, whip body, go inside room, AC below you or fan below you, depending on your income. But light for day. Light for day. These are things yesterday we were talking to the, Victor Lansana from Human Rights Commission. We challenged him with data from, recent statistics from, the Sierra Leone police reports that they actually recently published about crimes in this country. But one thing we talked about as well was that it is a right? It's a fundamental right to enjoy some of these things of the state. Electricity, access to electricity, he said. If all man forget access to water, yeah. Well, in Sierra Leone we've all become Beatrices, right? Well, very, very resilient people. That's the word the politicians like to use. I feel that at some point they are abusing these phrases, right? Resilience. What's in our resilience, really? Yeah. I mean, would they vote for Navolona and deliver for me, right? That's it. That's what we do every day. Every 5-10 years we conduct elections in this country. We pull the one in there, we put the other hand in there, Yeah, we for the demand which rightfully is ours, really. I just read a press release from the Right to Access Information Commission, RAIC, about information requests that had been written to the Parliament of Sierra Leone from different people. This thing was, supported largely by Citizens Barre, headed by Eleanor Thompson, the good international lawyer. May God continue to use her, mightily, Ilraj, Sludge, and some other big, human rights organizations in Sierra Leone that come together who were backing this particular, agenda for citizens or people living in constituencies across Sierra Leone to get the names and numbers of their MPs representing them in Parliament. But since the request was made to Parliament, they haven't responded, actually. The particular time frame has actually elapsed. And now the Right to Access Information Commission has taken that up. They've actually published a press release, which I read just now before coming on air, that they'll be taking the next course of action in line with the law, to ensure that Parliament, adheres to the Right to Access Information Act, and respond to these requests. Several people across Sierra Leone, actually, it's a joint coordinated, democratic program to bring, some sort of reprieve for people who are living in these places to know who actually is representing them in Parliament, yeah. So that's ongoing. Sure, hopefully, of course, we shall be hearing, shall be hearing proceeds from that particular matter and how everything unfolds eventually. We'll keep you updated, But as I said earlier, good governance is about all of us taking responsibility, the government, elected officials, and even you, the citizens, right? The governed, if you like. It's about being responsible, being decent, not pull you private parts, piss na treat, where so you're not supposed to do that. Should not pee in the street. Should never do that. It's grossly indecent. Yeah, it's grossly indecent. It's even foolish to some extent for you to remove your private property, your genitals in public, right? It's nuisance, by the way. You can't even be sued for that. It's nuisance to do that. So remove your private, your genitals in public, and pee in government places, in the streets of Freetown. Yeah, it's also wrong, it's bad. You could be sued, for throwing filth in the streets. Some country, look, Kigali, for example, decent places, clean city. Right now we even get problem with Freetown City Council. A lot is happening there. The administrator not see eye to eye with the mayor of the council. And I listened to him actually a while ago, being interviewed by colleague Lamganaba. The guy said there are even some projects actually that are being run by the Freetown City Council that he's not privy to. Project that casts thousands of dollars into the council that he's not aware of. Yeah, I was actually reading around that yesterday as well. Yeah, he had made several allegations against the mayor. The mayor too had said that at the bottom of this, it's politics. It's not her. The problem doesn't begin with her, it doesn't even end with her. It goes deeper than that. That it is the administrators, decision not to work with her. That she had opened her hands wide to them all, to come together to work for the council. There seems to be a blatant disagreement between and amongst most of the top, officials of the council. As a result of that, you see the city item dirty, like waiting, beggy tail eye. Why did they try? Did they do their best? But it should be better than this, right? So the bottom, the takeaway for this morning is that no sit down society, man can you area can campaign, you go to set the dance for like Uda Chris, right? They dance just a moment. You should only dance for nothing, and at the end of the day, they vote them, other people in back camp, now other explanation that they can't give, because it appears as though that all of the politicians, them when they in opposition, now they get the sense, when they come to power, they don't do anything. It doesn't make sense, really. And often we talk about these things, but they are very important. So your life, your vote is your life. Your vote is your right as a citizen. It's democratic to vote and ensure you cast your ballot for the right person, the person who would actually make the difference. By the way, this is my opinion though, that to be honest, me not see that person they really in a salon where they can't change it, because it's not about the party really. The way they, apart from the Tripartite, we really can make that kind, we can pull a kind big number per election, APC and SLPP. I don't see any other. The last election, of course, NDA, they did well, The last time it was NGC, we just go into oblivion just like that. Again, they disappointed the people of this country. When even a leader just left the party and go, that's the thing. You see, people, they kind of politics, then, oh my God. It's a lot in this country. But I feel the bottom line, it's integrity. Integrity, I know they again. Let me tell you, there are a lot of people who don't even know it in oneself in this country. Then they're all over the place. You go see man, come on at this party, go under, come on, kaya back, come on, so go so. You know why don't they happen? Now, because for them, it's about what's in the benefits for their pockets. Most of the way they allow before you, so them picking and all they understand that. So if you allow man can send 1 note per you, now in that too. And they say full at 40 is a fool forever, really. For a Sidom, the kind of area come total loudspeaker, you now one bag rest 50 grand or 1 million, that you feel say that they don't do for buy you votes, then you are the most stupid person in the world, really. Because you get for Sidom back 10 years and explanation, no more you get for the poda in taxi, and then bury the weekend there around. So man they drink attire. Now no more you go there for explanation, all the lecuna Bob Marley. Now in that, now why not send shop per you so? That's how these people do it, right? Ask the critical questions. When they come, so Bra, you don't come. Okay, now we lead this community. First of all, hospital now is a problem right now. We don't even get good drugs. You go for cow drugs then, and sure say when you they come, one hospital here, one this time, one market, picking one school fee, college fee for picking them. The only way you know we will afford them. We need scholarships. Right? This school now, so in our primary school, they're in a dilapidated state. We need furniture. We need books for upgrade the library for Pekin, and we need good water. We need electricity supply in this area. You go able to deliver this for me, and waiting at the time frame. When I even sign documents to some extent. Yeah, when I record on a video and put on the where they talk and where it come if you not deliver, I want to post that video there online. Call civil society organizations, rally around them. We get for the old leaders accountable in this country. We see them Kanu, we see them buy shine for you, Total Park, you know. Like that to how they can call themselves, they get a name there, you know, they bottle, rubber, tin, they can buy for now. Give you one polo, you know, give you one bag dress, slap you 50 grand or 100 grand per tap or 1 million. Like that, you know, I mean, I dance, you dance. So if you catch you dance, stay the next year, you the dance. Give away election, you don't say, if you not still the dance. All right, go the dance no more. Go the dance. When you don't dance, stay. When you wake up to the reality, you go understand. Say governance business that's so bad, not to team for play with. But anyways, you know, the problem is not the donor salon. Anyways, so there is the 18th day in the month of March, and I want to say good morning to you, to all our viewers from wherever you're watching us from this morning. And particularly singled out Ghana, Nigeria, Liberia, Gambia, Senegal, Guinea, the UK, our viewers there, the USA, France, also want to, welcome heartily our viewers, in Burkina Faso and all of these countries, the Middle East, wherever you are, Russia, Ukraine, Israel, watching us from this morning. Good morning to you. Of course, you're heartily welcome to this edition of Wake Up Sierra Leone here on the Africa Young Voices. We're always broadcasting on channel 101, which is our radio channel, our frequency modulation. You can hear us this morning. You also hearing us on, watching us on DSTV this morning on 399, which is our international channel. We are also broadcasting locally on channel 33. Typically, of course, this program brings you happenings around the country. We talk about, politics, sports, entertainment, infrastructure, development, and all of these kinds of things, we talk about here on Wake Up Sierra Leone. It's a 2-hour conversation which always begins with our, individualistic rantings, between presenters before the main show starts. Understand that most of these things that I've said here are personal. These are my opinion. They're not in any way reflective of the Africa Young Voices. These are my personal views as a journalist in this country, and I own them, solely to have said them here this morning. I stand by them strongly. As always, we are broadcasting live from the top of Tower Hill here in the heart of this, colonial city, Freetown. And do not forget to be a part of the program this morning. As usual, go to our Facebook page. We're there. We are streaming live at the moment. I'm sure a lot of our friends have already joined this morning who are watching live online. And we're also streaming on YouTube. It's Wake Up Sierra Leone there. We are also on TikTok as of recently. TikTok there, we have our population there as well, who are steadfastly watching our program in the morning. Go there and join the comments section there. Drop your comment. Do so decently, and I will ensure to read some of them before the program ends. But before we begin this morning, it's a ritual. It's a tradition here to first call for videos from our sponsors. Rokel Commercial Bank, of course. We have other advertisers which will be played, and after that we shall be back with you shortly.
In the heart of Sierra Leone's dynamic rhythm, Rokel Commercial Bank is your beat to a brighter financial future. We're not just a bank, but we're your financial partner committed to your success. We've got the financial tools you need to rise higher. Our team is here to serve you with speed and a smile because your time matters to us. So, are you ready to unlock financial prosperity? highlighting key banking services such as Keke loans, Combra account, fixed deposits, SME loans, internet and corporate banking, from savings that grow your dreams to loans that fuel your ambitions. Demonstrating fast and friendly customer service. Showcasing cutting-edge banking technology and ATMs. Access your money anytime, anywhere with our state-of-the-art technology and a network of ATMs. Our Rokel SimCopper app puts banking in your hands, where you can pay for EDSA, AfriMoney, Orange Money, and pay bills including school fees and make transfers to other bank accounts. Remember, you can also experience Rokel e-banking today. Then join us now. Visit any of our branches or explore our website. Rokel Commercial Bank, your bank of choice.
Sorry, Carl, go see some business partners.
You didn't give me memory, Michael. Can if I kiss I young, you remember this camp people in not to Indy. Today you pay me money. I don't send it for let you help me send money in Ghana. 2 weeks now you don't send me money and tell you not give me back me money. Today, give me money.
You don't ever sabi goodness in life. I send back your money, but trust me, today na the very last day I ever send money for now.
I don't need your help because I don't know so with Afri money. I dey able send money. Now Baku Africa countries them.
With Afri money, we dey able send money to over 10 African countries, whether it's Ghana, Gambia, Liberia, or Kenya. If me party we know this, we not follow the party glamour right now.
Okay, una go regret. I mean, now me not. Una go regret.
The best part right now, Michael, with Afri money, you dey able send money even if you not use app, even if you know the online directly. All you need for do, you just a dial *161#. Pam, your money don't go. So I don't need the help again. Thief man.
Thank you.
Send money to over 10 African countries instantly with Afri Money. No stress, no excuses. Just dial *161*1*6# now. Afri Money, quick and easy.
Good to see your face again. It's been a very crazy day. The joyous feeling in the air when rain falls on a sunny day.
Happy, yeah. Let the stars, let the roll.
Enjoy life's little pleasures with Maltina. Maltina, share happiness.
All right, welcome back. Good morning to you, and thank you very much indeed for joining us this morning. Now, coming up in the program today, we will be speaking to Ngolo Katta. He is National Coordinator of the Tripartite Steering Committee Secretariat. And we'll be speaking on the implementation of the 80 major recommendations aimed at reforming the country's electoral system and fostering national unity following the 2023 elections. Also this morning, shall be speaking to Honorable Hon.Alpha Kanu, presidential spokesman, who will be speaking about the Tripartite summit on border disputes convened in Conakry between Sierra Leone, Guinea and Liberia, among many other things. Do not forget to be a part of the program this morning. Go to our Facebook page and join the host of people who are already there to participate on the program this morning. You could drop a comment and I shall ensure to read them at strategic junctures along the program. We're also on YouTube. Do not forget to go there and drop your comments. We're also on TikTok. You could go there and, join the group of people who are already there viewing us live this morning. Well, now in our final segment, we've been joined, as I've said, by Ngolo Katta. Ngolo is the national coordinator of the Tripartite Steering Committee Secretariat. Now, the Secretariat is tasked with overseeing the implementation of the 80 major recommendations that are aimed at reforming the country's electoral system and fostering national unity following the 2023 elections. Ngolo Katta is here to give us an update, the implementation process so far, the recommendations, and including concerns that the main oppositions have raised in recent times. Good morning, Ngolo. It's a pleasure having you.
Good morning.
Indeed.
Thank you for having me.
Indeed. Please give us a general update. How have things fared so far? What have you done?
So, like you have said, our role actually really is to facilitate, coordination in the implementation process. And as I sit here, I will emphatically tell you that over 85% of the recommendations have progressed significantly. And what that means is that up to about 10% of those recommendations have been completed. You should know that the recommendations are within a set of processes. There is a set of recommendations, which is the bulk of recommendations that are dealing with legislative reforms and constitutional review process. There is also another set of recommendations that are dealing with management and functional review, looking at the institutions, their capacity, their efficiency and efficacy in terms of functionality. And then there is also another part of the review, the recommendations that are looking at the development of policies, regulations, and guidelines. So the core of those are ongoing. You're already aware that there is a constitutional amendment bill 2025 that's being laid in Parliament, and that takes a huge chunk of the recommendations. Looking at the constitutional review process itself, the Tripartite recommendation speaks about 17 of those that will deal with those, and there are also a series of recommendations dealing with the Electoral Commission, dealing with PPLC, dealing with security issues, dealing with the general elections processes that have been placed, in that bill. There are others that are looking at, and so we hope that Parliament will spend some time to look at those, and we're quite, sure that maybe by the end of 2026 we should have had that discussed and then maybe adopted. There is a huge extent of work going on within each of those institutions. So the first issue is around the MFIs, the management functional reviews. It started with the Electoral Commission. With the Electoral Commission, it required the PRSU, that is dealing public sector reform unit that deals with management and functional reviews, needed to work with an international independent organization to look at the Electoral Commission. So they worked with the International Federation on Election Systems, IFES. That report has been completed and it was officially presented to His Excellency the President. It now has an implementation matrix, and implementation around that has started. Then also the other institutions, PPRC, SLBC, IMC, the Independent Police Complainant Board, all also needed to go through the same process. Those also have been completed. The reports have been presented to the Chief Minister as chairman of the steering committee. It has gone through Parliament, and it has gone through cabinet, and there's cabinet approval in ensuring that they move forward. So those have also started their own implementations, so there's a lot happening within the institutions internally. There's also the whole conversation about policy and regulations making. Most of those regulations end up becoming constitutional instruments, and they go through parliaments. And so, with the Electoral Commission, the core of those policies have been completed. They are consistently now working on some of those regulations. Some will require ending up in conversation with the Political Party Liaison Committee. So you will find out that the Electoral Commission is now working on ensuring that happens. Also, the Office of National Security, a series of their works are almost completed. In fact, much of their own security processes have been completed. And the core around it was about the institutionalization of the Integrated Election Security Planning Committee. It's now a directorate with staff, and a series of engagements are already started and ongoing with the various security apparatus dealing with elections. So also with PPRC, they've also developed a lot of policies and regulations. Key among the policies is the regulation on elections, political elections financing, which is a very critical regulation. That is almost now in a constitutional instrument before Parliament. So that's the extent of war. So there's about almost 52% that is ongoing, 27% that is partially completed, and looking at all of it, that's why I said it's over 85%. Progressively, significantly moving forward.
Okay, your work is a bit complicated, Ngolo. I'm not sure. I'm being quite careful this morning. A lot of sentiment around what you do. A lot of people have said that your work is a bit biased. For example, I'll quote the figures with you. You said 85. A while ago, the Chief Minister was here. He said, the Tripartite has actually achieved 80% of recommendations done. But a country review came from, the APC's Dr. Kelfala Mara, who refutes those figures and said that it's only a little above 1% that you've done so far with the recommendations of the Tripartite. What do we believe? What should we believe at this point? A lot of figures, a lot of statistics.
So there are statistics, but there's also evidence available. If you want to follow through the process. So what we do is looking at evidence that is available. So like I said to you, our duty is to facilitate engagements and coordinate the processes. We have unfettered access to all the institutions. And so we will virtually do an official letter to the Electoral Commission, for example, and say we want to do compliance checks. We're allowed to come in and we sit with them and we do line by line recommendations, policies. Can we see them? And then they will bring them out. We will go through them. We will realize that this is what the recommendation speaks about. Regulations, the same thing. So I don't know where the conversation of biasness is coming. I am doing the work that has been carved for the Secretariat. There are other jobs that I may not be, mandatory to engage around. So let me also tell you, and so each of these institutions in this new year, 2026, we've had engagements with them. We've had engagements with the Electoral Commission. We've had engagements with PPRC. We've had engagements with SLBC. We've seen what the latitude looks like in terms of their work. And when we go there, we just don't go to speak to them about the issues. We also want to see evidence. So I believe that every institution has the right to interface with those institutions. To understand what is happening. Let me give you this a very clear impression. I have met with Dr. Kafala Mara. I met with him last year. We had an extensive conversation. He requested for a set of documents. We provided those documents that we were able to provide. Those we couldn't provide, I had informed him that we could link him up with the institutions.
Which are these stuff that you couldn't provide? So if you ask for example, they had requested for the white paper. Okay.
And as asked that is within the purview of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice. So I would expect that you have conversations with him. As I sit here, I know there have been series of engagements with the Attorney General and Minister of Justice.
Okay.
With Dr. Kafala Mara, and also their tripartite team. They have a tripartite committee themselves, and they have a series of meetings. So I expect those are issues that they may have, concluded on. I'd also given him contacts for focal persons of each of these institutions, including Electoral Commission, PPRC, Office of National Security. It behoves on him to just make telephone calls and set appointments to visit them. If it's getting difficult to do that, he could get back to us and we can create that linkage. We are open to that. But ever since I did that to him, he's not come back to me to have conversation on that. Even when we met, with the openness of our conversation, he recommended a set of things that he felt that we should be doing as well, which we co-opted into our work. Those we couldn't, would have said, no, this is really the manner in which we want to see it happen. So there's really openness. Okay. And I'm not sure anybody speaks about those, but that's how open we are. So to hear that we're getting biased, it's just about the work we do. Okay. We are an auxiliary of the Tripartite Steering Committee, and we report to them. And in that committee, it's a bipartisan and multifaceted committee. So we report to them routinely around what we do. But also what is important for you to note is that our website is open. Okay. Anybody can get into our website and download the information there. Every other work that has been done by each of the institutions are on our website, except the... You
have the website, the address,
yes, it's csl.org. Tripartite Steering Committee Secretariat. So it's tscsl.org.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
So it's open. If you want to look at the MFRs, they are all there. If you want to see the reports that we have engaged in, consultations and other processes, they are all there. Our routine media briefs with engagements of political parties, civil society, development partners, etc., are all there. Okay. So there's a multitude of information present at that website.
Let's talk about things that have happened that may have militated against this trust that I earlier referenced. A while ago we saw the Attorney General did a beautiful work on the amendment compendium that is now tabled in Parliament for amendment to parts of the 1991 Constitution on elections. And one particular, recommendation came out quite prominently, which has actually stirred a lot of debate around. So the tripartite recommendation here had actually, said, and I'll just quote it verbatim, that presidential elections, that's 53, candidates can only be selected on the first round if they, A, obtain 50% plus 1 vote of the total valid vote cast nationally, and B, obtain 25% of the total valid vote cast in each district in at least half of the district of Sierra Leone. And when the legislation was made, that particular clause wasn't honored, you know. It then said 50 plus 20% in 2/3 of 11 districts. How did that happen? That has, well, naturally created distrust, you know, for the Tripartite committee. Is it that it was you who is the head who informed that particular decision to go against the Tripartite report? Or what?
No, that's a legal process.
How
and
legal?
That's
because what's here is not what's in the drafted
saying.
legislation.
The drafted legislation is a legal process that's being handled by the Attorney General and Minister of Justice and his team. I cannot sit here and inform you and the public as to what led to those changes.
Just because it's legal doesn't mean it should deviate from what, you know, the Tripartite recommendations say, because I know that whatever you're doing now is informed by this very document.
I agree.
Which you had put together.
I agree. So that's what I'm saying. The Attorney General must be the person who should be able to explain that properly.
I thought it was you who actually informed him, who advised him.
No. I mean, look. So
you know, I feel
so there is a legal team developed by the Attorney General and Minister of Justice.
I know, of course.
And they deal with.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not a lawyer.
I know.
And they deal with the process of reviewing the law.
But they should act on intel from the Tripartite committee, because that's your work.
He has.
You know, to ensure that whatever is here is followed to the letter. That's why you're there.
He has the information.
Why should they deviate so tangentially from what you had actually written here, what you had all agreed on?
This was an agreement between the government of Sierra Leone and the All People's Congress.
Understand that there is international partners
so in a circumstance
which makes it tripartite.
So that's
yourself,
what I'm saying.
as in the ruling government, the opposition APC, and the international community, but actually once even criticized the elections. So I'm sure it is in good spirits that they developed this compendium of recommendations, of 80 of them actually. So if you're now starting to go against these recommendations, then doesn't it seem ill-fated in any way?
You know, like I said to you, I mean, this is a recommendation that must be developed into laws.
Yeah.
I mean, that is within the purview of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, I mean, to ensure it happens.
Bottom line, you're saying that you're not supposed to advise the Attorney General.
So we will have conversation around this process.
Okay.
But it is his responsibility, I mean, to provide the specimen laws or the drafted laws that will get to Parliament. That is what he has placed into the bill. I think there is still opportunity for discussions around it, and to have a broader engagement to ensure that what is needful happens. And this is what I have said, that what we do in the Secretariat is to ensure that the recommendations are being implemented. What becomes the blueprints of those laws do not fall within, I mean, our scope of work. It falls within the Attorney General's scope of work. So if there are questionable issues, there must be consistent engagement to clear them. I know that there have been series of engagements, I mean, between the All People's Congress and the Attorney General. I have not attended most of those meetings. Even very recently, there was a dialogue meeting, I mean, summoned by the Independent Commission for Peace and National Unity between the Attorney General and the All People's Congress, and a lot of issues came out of that. So I think there is opportunity for us to have these conversations, I mean, continue in a way, I mean, that will ensure that we address some of these issues that are being raised.
Another thing I would like to talk about is, I mean, you know, so whilst the process is ongoing, there are several things happening at the same time. I mean, you've said as well that there are institutional changes happening in some of these, you know, institutions that had been recommended in the tripartite document. Are you worried as a leader that at a time when, this very document had informed what the Attorney General had put together, this piece of legislation which has been tabled in Parliament, i.e. the amendment, of the 1991 Constitution on electoral matters. A particular recommendation stood out. That is the Search and Nomination Committee, which has caused a lot of argument as well of recent. I'm sure you've been following that argument online and offline among policymakers and even leaders, that some say it is ill-fated. It goes against the very core principles of the recommendation that the president had gone ahead, although it's constitutional for him to do so, had gone ahead to appoint Hon.Alpha, while a piece of legislation is lying in Parliament to be debated about the very decision he has made. Do you think it's premature in any way, or you've actually deviated from the recommendation for the second time?
You have, from your... By
the way, just to clarify, it's totally legal, as I have said, right? It's constitutional. What people are questioning, including, Lawyer Society, for example, is the timing of the appointment. So they are saying that the president should have waited until this particular legislation is amended in Parliament, which actually has created room for the constitution of a committee that is called a Search and Nomination, which could have actually had the onus to do this nomination, informed by different committees in this country, civil society now, maybe SLAG, and all other bodies.
The president has his mandate, and it falls within the Constitution of Sierra Leone.
It is.
This very Constitution is still the document that is enforced.
That's not what is being debated, Mr. Katta, just to guide the conversation.
Just allow me.
It's legal, as I've established.
So that's what I'm saying.
It's legal.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's discuss intention and time frame. That's what we're discussing now.
Until there is a clear passage of what is in Parliament.
Again, for the second time, did you advise the president on this?
That's not my responsibility.
I know it's not your responsibility.
So listen, there's an Attorney General.
All of what's happening right now is not normal. Understand that. It's
let me make this clear.
It has never happened in Sierra Leone.
When it gets to...
This tripartite agreement is new. It is novel, right? People are not even used to these kinds of settlements.
So when it gets...
It was because of all of the rowdiness and chaoticness of the previous election that even international partners advised that these recommendations are developed in the first place.
So when it gets to...
That is a normal times, actually.
So when it gets to advising His Excellency the President on legal matters, that falls also within the ambit of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice.
So in essence, you're saying that this Attorney General is your deputy now? Because all of what I've discussed this morning, you're pointing fingers at him, that he is the one who is supposed to do these things.
Like I said to you, I have the huge chunk of them that are legal processes.
I know, yeah.
And so once they are, they fall within the scope of the law, and the person who deals with them is the Attorney General and Minister of Justice. He can't be my deputy. That's, even what we do, we will be advised by him. Because at the end of the day, what gets to Parliament, what gets to the whole conversation of linking the Constitution with the various acts comes from his desk. And so those issues may have been discussed at that level. And because there is a constitution, we're not in a vacuum. You do not expect me to get into those fray. Like I said to you, our responsibility is to coordinate this process. So in the course of coordination, we will have conversation with the Attorney General. I speak to him almost every week on the implementation of these processes. But like I said, when it comes to legal issues, it falls within his ambit to deal with them. So I'm not a lawyer. I can't be giving him advices that in his own legal thoughts will mean something different. So it is very important for us to note that that my duty as a secretariat is to link up with all those organizations who are reviewing these processes, ensure that they are doing the needful, but also informing Sierra Leoneans about what the issues are.
Right.
So when it gets to real legal processes, the Attorney General takes 4.
All right, settled. So that again, for the second time, your powers do not reach there to advise the President or even the Attorney General on what to do on recommendations of the tripartite. That's sealed and settled. Your only business is to ensure that, you know, you operate around the circumference of the small committee that had been set up, right? Leading the tripartite committee secretariat. That's what you say, and meet with these political leaders.
Exactly, and I report to the steering committee.
Okay.
And Sierra Leoneans.
Right. Now let's talk about this very steering committee. Another, you know, criticism that the APC had actually put forward, and indeed many other, you know, civil society organizations, was that the candidacy of the chief minister heading the steering committee, because I understand that this was, you know, a gentleman's agreement, if you like to call it that, among the government, international partners, and even, you know, the opposition, APC. Now, a school of thought would have said, whilst you have perhaps maybe chosen the chief minister to serve as the chair of the committee, why not, you know, choose someone from the opposition to serve as co-chair? Wouldn't it have been, you know, sensible enough or prudent to do that? I think having a balance, because the chief minister is not only representing government, but he's representing the Sierra Leone People's Party here, and also vice versa, the opposition also being represented in the committee as well, having a co-chair. So it's a balance, don't you think so? Couldn't that have worked?
I want to refer you back to recommendation 80.
Okay.
And what it speaks about.
Okay. Recommendation 80, it is.
Yes.
Right? What are you particularly referencing? Let me see. Recommendation 80. That the final report be tabled in cabinets and that the cabinet develops a cabinet paper. That's not what I'm saying. I am talking about the steering committee.
So that's what I'm saying.
This is talking about a white paper eventually, so, after all of this process is finished.
No.
To be presented to government.
No.
So I read again, that the final report be tabled in cabinet and that the cabinet develops a cabinet paper to the government of Sierra Leone implementation, including legislative reforms as required.
So that's what it says, that this tripartite recommendation report be presented in cabinet.
Okay.
And then there's a cabinet conclusion as to how the implementation will look like.
How do you interpret this?
So basically what it means is that there was a cabinet conclusion as to how the process will be implemented. And that is what brought about the steering committee and the composition of the steering committee, its terms of reference. So that is where the decision was taken as to having the chief minister chairing this process.
What about the co-chair?
So I mean that was the decision. There was no other way this is going to be implemented except through the government of Sierra Leone.
I understand.
And so because it was taken to cabinet, that was the decision of cabinet that the chief minister becomes the chairperson of the process.
But about the co-chair again for the second time. What about the co-chair? You've talked about the chair, of course, granted. Recommendation 80 maybe have informed you that the chief minister is, by the way, this isn't even specific that it was the chief minister who was supposed to act in this position.
But I have told you that the outcome of that recommendation is a cabinet paper.
Yeah, I understand.
So that's where government had met and design a mechanism that will lead on this process.
So naturally you're saying, because I mean the cabinet, the chief minister heads the cabinet, if you like.
No.
You know,
the president heads the cabinet.
Oh, well, he heads the committee of ministers in this country. He's the chief minister.
The president heads
the head of ministers.
The president heads the cabinet.
The head of ministers is the chief minister in Sierra Leone.
Okay.
I'm not saying the government of Sierra Leone.
That's how you
said ministers.
That's how you understand.
It was even the chief minister who graded these ministries recently. Maybe you're not following.
That's part of his responsibility.
That's it. That's what I'm saying. I mean, naturally, you may have chosen him because he's the most ostensible man.
I'm not a cabinet minister.
Well, I'm talking about
the decision of the cabinet that they wanted this process to be implemented this way.
What about the co-chair? Why couldn't you have advised, say, you know what, okay, if the chief minister is acting here, let's have someone prominent as well from the opposition or the international community to balance the equation. Why should it be all government?
I was recruited after the steering committee came into existence.
Okay.
And then but there is also, like I said, members of the opposition there, and many other facets of the society.
Right.
There are paramount chiefs there, there's civil society there, there's representatives of other political parties there, there's the United Nations there, and
United Nations?
Oh yes,
okay.
I mean the United Nations resident coordinator sits in the steering committee as well.
Okay.
That's a decision.
Let's talk about the operations of the committee then, settled. The mayor had come openly and had criticized the committee for not meeting frequently. She said that the committee meets infrequently, the steering committee.
When the committee started, it met frequently, and then it got to a point where they met quarterly, and everybody will be informed at least a week before the meeting. When there's a WhatsApp group that has all the members of the committee, and so ample of time is given, and the reason is because the sets of the committee members come out of Freetown. So there have been, I mean, just for last year, the committee may have met very close to 7 times.
For 12 months, you met 7 times?
Yes.
Okay.
So I said it started almost frequently, and then it got to quarterly. And everybody is informed.
Why is it that resources were not enough?
Not really. There are a lot of assignments and processes given, so that it has to be done within a period of time, and then it will be report back to the steering committee, and so that happened. It's a series of members of the committee do not attend meetings.
Who are they? These people?
So with due respect to her lordship, the mayor herself, she's one of those sets of people.
She doesn't attend meetings.
Yes, but also the honourable minority leader of Parliament has never attended meeting. But I will say he consistently delegates somebody who attends the meeting and takes part effectively in the course of the meeting.
So the mayor, who had been actually selected, doesn't attend meetings. The minority leader in Parliament, Hon.Alpha Kanu, doesn't attend meetings, although he has delegated someone to attend these meetings.
To somebody who has been very
How serious
committed.
Do you think people should take this committee, Mr. Katta?
Look, the committee, besides those sets of people,
you have even referenced WhatsApp. How can you reduce something as serious as a tripartite document to WhatsApp? And you don't even meet. For last year, you met only 7 times. Look. For 12 months.
Look, let me, like I said to you, I mean, there are activities to undertake.
Okay.
We can't meet every week or every month. I mean, when it started, it was almost like that, until there were terms of references and other processes set up, and then the Secretariat was set up. After that, I mean, a lot of activities were online. I mean, within the work plan. And so it required us taking part in most of those activities and reporting back. So we can't be doing that haphazardly.
I understand.
So it required at least a period of time, I mean, activities undertaken, I mean, reports written, and then we will come back to report to the steering committee.
True. Let's talk about the mayor then, who is not attending meetings. Have you ever called her as the head of the committee? I mean, to say, oh, why are you not coming for meetings? Or even the minority leader, Abdul Kagbo. Have you checked on them and know why perhaps they are not turning up for meetings for something as serious as this? So listen, I mean, like I said, I appreciate the work of the minority leader. Okay. I mean, he's a personal friend. We've had a lot of conversation on this matter. I've written letters to him as well. But like I said to you, he had somebody delegated to his responsibility. What about the mayor then? Let's talk about the mayor.
She also had the right to delegate somebody
have you called her?
We have had conversations.
No, have you called her and asked why she's not attending meetings?
She will always give a reason why. Maybe she
what
traveled.
Are these reasons?
So maybe she traveled out of the country.
But the mayor has always been around. Actually, she travels infrequently. As far as my knowledge.
There have been times when she's in fact in country, but she didn't attend, and she's been given the opportunity to listen through, I mean, WhatsApp conversation. So there's been a series of those. It is her responsibility to delegate her duty to maybe a deputy who will perform equally. There's a deputy mayor, I mean, who is a lawyer. I mean, there are many other people who I know are inclined around these processes who could perform that. The reason why I'm asking all of these questions is because the same woman who has criticized the committee for not even meeting frequently, and now you are saying that she's not even turning up for meetings. This happens. the opportunity of freedom of speech allows people to criticize processes. But this is the reality of what is happening on the ground.
But so the picture is she criticizes but doesn't attend meetings.
That is what
you've said.
That is exactly what is happening. I have no reason to give an impression of what it's not happening. We've had, like I said, she's attended meetings and she's been very critical about them. And those issues have been raised and addressed. And in circumstances where I can still remember there's a special meeting that she requested for, and the meeting finally came and she didn't come. I could remember even where the chairperson was saying, oh, the mayor was interested in the meeting, but she's not here. But she was allowed to listen to the meeting on WhatsApp. By one of the representatives. So that's how it has been quite flexible. But like I said to you, most of the times, most of the other institutions attend the meeting, except for a few. But there is always a quorum and beyond when the meetings are called. And so they will have to go on now. Very recently, last week, there had been a steering committee meeting. The APC was absent. The leader of government business was also absent. But the rest of other members of the steering committee were present. So a lot of deliberation took place, including the United Nations. So a lot of deliberations took place. So it's important for us to note. We cannot say the meetings will not continue because one or two people are absent. We will just assume that they are absent. We will then ensure that all those who are present, listen to the reports, extensive reports we are giving in this last meeting. And there was extensive conversation around it, and even the future of the steering committee and the Secretariat.
Let's talk about 77 then, the recommendation 77, the state broadcaster. You said earlier that, reforms are already ongoing there. The tripartite document calls for, the SLBC to be transformed into an independent public service broadcaster with editorial independence from government and financial autonomy. Establish in legislation a limit of maximum amount of airtime that political parties and candidates can buy on the SLBC during an election campaign period. This is one institution that most of the EU observer reports have criticized in the past, including the Sierra Leone police, of course, the judiciary, and state security forces in Sierra Leone, for them to be independent. Now, the question is, do you think you can be able to achieve this? For SLBC to go independent? With SLBC we know, which was established by an act of parliament, which is a statutory body under the government of Sierra Leone, and which is being funded by the government of Sierra Leone. Can this institution go independent?
There is extensive work already carried out to review the acts of SLBC.
Okay.
And with independent players also supporting that process. So for example, the MSRG, it's a media regulatory institution, had led the consultations across the country on looking at its autonomy, in terms of its broadcasting processes and also its finances processes. A report has been produced. The coordinator of the MSRG sent me the report, and it speaks about fantastic opinions. So I think a lot is happening in terms of supporting that particular recommendation, and as I speak to you, the act is under review with the Law Reforms Commission and the Ministry of Information and Civic Education. So what I would say is that let us all be optimistic that there will be serious reforms around the processes. What is also important for you to note is that there will be a need for me to visit SLBC. There's some level of transformation taking place in the institution currently as I speak to you. And so this is all based on the recommendation processes.
Transformation in what way?
In terms of it's the edifice.
Okay.
The media rooms, the processes, the equipment, etc. They require more. That's part of what we have said. We had meetings with them last week, and they will consistently say yes, we need more equipment. I mean, to be able to have us.
Well,
I mean, diversify.
That's a step in the right direction, though. Because recently, I saw a video which was put up by one of the staff about the dangerously deplorable condition of that particular place. Cables scattered everywhere, as if it was a.
So there's some reforms taking place, and there's also private sector support. I mean, going towards the institution besides government. So I think we're following through with that. I mean, let's wait until the final law comes out, and then that law will speak to.
Are you saying we're going to see a transformation of the SLBC in terms of infrastructure and law?
I believe strongly because of what I have seen so far. That's, I mean, the report that came out of the consultations across the country speaks about, I mean, very, I mean, impressive recommendations, and if those are put into, I mean, action, it must make SLBC look different. Holistically,
you know, Mr. Katta, looking at this document, do you think you've done, well, not you particularly, you and international community and all of the people that are in this committee have done justice to this document?
Like I said to you, significant work has gone through. I mean, there's also extensive support from the government of Sierra Leone and the international partners. I mean, through United Nations Development Program. So I will say yes. I mean, and we're looking forward to pushing this more. I mean, consistently, the chairman and the chief minister meets with development partners. I mean, a week or two ago, there was a meeting with development partners, and frank conversations took place in that meeting. I think, I mean, there is a level of openness in moving this process, I mean, forward. I mean, and development partners and as well as government is showing commitment to having this happen. So what I will continue to say is that let the parties, I mean, who have signed to this process, I mean, continue to dialogue and speak about the issues so that we can move forward. I mean, there's not much enough time. I mean, the elections is in 2028. I mean, and so every day it requires some level of movement. And like I said to you, there's a lot of tremendous work taking place internally within the institutions. They also require, I mean, various actors going in there to see the extent of work that is happening. You can't just sit somewhere and start critiquing, I mean, documents that we are taking painstaking time to go through, because we just don't sit in our silos to do this. We go out, we engage the various institutions, I mean, in very critical conversations, and from there we see the evidences, and from the evidences we take, I mean, the required actions that produces this kind of documents.
You said earlier that you've achieved up to 80%, you know, implementation of these recommendations, which means it's remaining 15%. What about those 15%?
So like I said to you,
what's left to do? What are the major?
When you look at these documents, there is what has not started. And there are a few recommendations that have not started.
Which ones?
So recommendations 5, 19, 20, 61 have not started, and they fall around the Electoral Commission. And some of those could be addressed as we move along. So for example, recommendation 5 speaks about, I mean, operational and administrative role between the Electoral Commission and staff. And the Commission has an opinion about that. I mean, but we have
they have an opinion.
Yes. But with the review of the management function and management review report, it could help in resolving that. There's also recommendation 20, which is one of the very challenging recommendations from the opposition, that speaks about oversight committee
in Parliament.
And that virtually has to be resolved with Parliament. I mean, we had written to the leadership of Parliament, I mean, and so we expect that in the near future there will be conversations around that to speak about that.
So this committee is to be chaired by MP from the opposition?
That's what it says, yes. So we expect that.
Why has it not been done? What's wrong?
That is within the.
I would think it's a very crucial, you know.
So that's what I'm saying. That it is within the confines of Parliament. I mean, and to discuss that. Part of what they had started discussing was there was a governance committee in Parliament and they believe that could be, and it speaks to a series of these institutions, so they could design a mechanism for that committee to work on that. But like I said, we had written to Parliament to have them address that issue.
Okay, what have they said?
So we hope there will be conversations amongst them.
You've not heard from them yet since the letter was written?
So like I said to you, part of what they had said was that, we already have a committee called Governance Committee that deals with
that's not
a
the
lot
same,
of
actually.
issues.
It's not the same.
So that's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. They had said that. But
so what have you said again after they've said that?
Because we have encouraged.
As I said earlier, yours is also to advise, to push for these things to be implemented.
So that's why the best we can do is to do an official letter and to also speak to the leadership of Parliament. I have had conversation with the leadership of Parliament. Part of what they have said is what I started speaking about, that there's a committee that we think could suffice for this.
Which is not the same, actually.
But it's important for the leadership of Parliament, including the leadership of APC in Parliament, to discuss on this. I think that's the best way to resolve this.
Okay.
And so we are looking forward to that. There's a committee on Human Rights Commission that speaks about, looking at elections from a rights-based perspective.
Okay.
That's normally part of their work. Once they have not started doing it well, I know that closer to elections, they will then set up the mechanisms, to deal with those. And there's always, a report from the Human Rights Commission about elections.
Right.
So that's what the other
is the next recommendation.
The other one is from the Registration Authority, NCRA.
Recommendation what?
15 and 22.
Okay.
And so they are also having conversations. I got a letter from them this week that they are starting meetings today, to speak about voter registration. So it means they are starting to discuss these issues. And somebody is currently
15.
in that meeting.
Government should consider further subsidizing the acquisition of national ID cards so that the Electoral Commission does not need resources to issue separate voter identification cards. And in fact, what's funny is that quite recently they have risen the cost to 160 leones, in fact, from 100. It's becoming more expensive each day. I feel acquiring these kinds of documents is a right. Right? All citizens, as long as you're a Sierra Leonean, you should have your national ID to identify. Why should we pay for these things? Well, this again is a very crucial recommendation, 15.
Please have the Director General to come and sit in here and speak about it.
It's something we would have to discuss subsequently.
Yes, I think it's important. So there's also other recommendations that have come up. They were sent to, but they seem not applicable.
Which ones?
The recommendation 70 and 71, for example. This falls within PPRC's work. So recommendation 70 speaks about deregistering political parties.
Okay.
And the core of the political parties have said they do not exist just for elections. They exist for many other functions as prescribed in the Constitution.
Now,
and so a circumstance like this coming up may lead them taking this conversation to the Supreme Court for interpretation.
The final question I would like to ask you, as we wrap up Ngolo, is you see, a while ago I listened to the new, Secretary General of the SLPP, the Sierra People's Party, Parliamentary, who had openly said that he doesn't even believe in this tripartite committee stuff, that it is one-sided, it's biased because it excludes all other parties in the country. So the question I would like to ask, do you think this is actually reflective of the national politics we have in Sierra Leone, this very document? Given that it has only been developed by the two parties, APC and SLPP, it's a gentleman's agreement so that some reprieve is struck. But does it really reflect the views of all other political parties in Sierra Leone? Which is something Paran has said, actually. A man from your party, actually, criticizing this very committee. That doesn't even believe in the ideals of the tripartite committee in the first place.
I didn't get you. From our party.
Let me repeat again.
From our party.
Parliamentary.
You said from our party.
Are you not a member of SLP? I thought you were an SLP member.
So the work I do is an independent job.
Okay, well.
So that's very important for you to know. Okay. But if
from
you
the SLPP.
So from if you
not say your party.
So
although perhaps you may belong to the SLPP.
If you listen to him. So stop insinuating. If you
are you not a member of the SLP? Just to clarify.
If you listen to him, If you listen to him properly, in the course of that conversation, at a particular point, he said he had removed his hat as the Secretary General, and he spoke from his heart. That he, in his own opinion. So you
think it's a valid opinion?
So let me allow him hold on to his opinion.
Okay.
But let me speak about the documents. The issues contained in that document are very sensitive and sober issues.
So the reason why I asked this question in the first place is because
elections.
of 70, for example, to deregister parties.
So that's what I'm saying.
I'm not trying all the smaller party may have agreed to this particular clause.
So that's why they said they do not subscribe to it. In fact, in the course of conversation, I have met with the other political parties severally, and they will say this is a plan between the two main political parties
only
to sideline us. And so
is that true?
So we do not believe in it.
Is that true?
That's what they had said.
Is that true?
I
Do
can't
you believe
speak
in that?
I can't speak for them.
Oh, you're there. You're
but what I am saying is that the recommendations that are in that document are very sensitive and sober recommendations.
I know.
That look at elections, the elections,
but not from the perspective of smaller parties. That's the thing. What they say.
Some of the others, they also believe that it should be part of their processes.
Okay.
I mean, I have had conversations with the political parties, like I said. They have also done a position paper on the tripartite recommendations, and it speaks volume to a core of those issues.
Okay.
So I believe that Wales, those two, APC and the government of Sierra Leone, zeroed around these issues. These are very sensitive issues that require attention as well. Right. Imagine in a circumstance where we develop laws that bring political parties to book for wrongdoings, which has never really happened very well, except you go to court. Those are very sensitive issues. And so when you go around, you hear that Sierra Leoneans feel very happy about those kinds of situations where parties could be fined for causing crisis, during electioneering processes. Those are very sensitive issues. So there have been series of regulations that are coming out that will control the behavior of political parties. And I think it's important for us to note.
Let me just briefly read a few comments on our Facebook page before closing this session. A Mystic from Dozaki saying, our nation needs meaningful political dialogue now more than ever, despite disagreements between the government and opposition over the implementation of the tripartite recommendations. Respectful consultation remains the best path forward. Through dialogue and mutual respect, we can strengthen our democracy. Mos D saying, Victor, let's be honest, not every criticism we hear is genuine. A lot of it's politically motivated. This is yet another example of how politicians from both sides keep holding this country to ransom. They don't care about fixing the system, they care about scoring points. And while they play games, it's the people who continue to suffer. Mark 10 New England is saying, the committee's work is critical to Sierra Leone's democratic resilience, representing a rare opportunity for collaboration between the country's two dominant political parties. With the deadline approaching, both the ruling SLPP and the APC are under pressure to demonstrate tangible progress. Mr. Katta is from Osfriend Kamara. On the 16th of December last year, you were hosted on Liberty, during which you mentioned about regulatory changes as to domestic and international elections observers. Why this suggestion, and what is the rationale behind this as to public opinion? This man is aware that the entire electoral process has been conducted in the favor of the government that is in power. I don't know why the unnecessary explanation. Both APC and SLPP are aware that they are conducting elections to remain in power, and they're also aware that no matter the procedures they have put in place, it will not stop them from rigging elections. But whenever they come in the studio, they always pretend as if they don't know what is happening, coming to in coming to the appointment of the electoral commissioner. How can the president appoint electoral commissioner without the acceptance of the main opposition? It tells on the amount of disrespect we have in our political activity that we need to change. Political parties should learn to respect and acknowledge each other's belief. That's from Swissman, actually. Many other comments, actually. We don't have time to read all of these. You have any comments to these?
So I accept a series of those sentiments. This process, can only end through constructive engagement and dialogue. Continued consultations amongst the two entities to ensure that we solve the issues that are outstanding.
Right.
And so there's another conversation about code of conduct and ethics about observer missions. Look, that has been raised by the core of observation missions, that there should be a clear blueprint, and it's been placed in the recommendation 4041. I think it's very important that we look at them, and encourage civil society and other stakeholders who are interested in developing that process, come on board, and a much more, stronger code is produced.
Right.
The code that gives opportunity to both parties, mutually respecting the laws of Sierra Leone, but also the environment around elections. I think that's very important.
Right.
But let me finally say, look, this process, there are being attempts to trivialize what we're talking about. But I think there were very sane, superb minds of Sierra Leoneans from both parties that came together to put this document in place. And I think it's in the interest of this country. Every Sierra Leonean must take it serious, must put pressure on their parliamentarians, to ensure that we all come back to really speak to, the logical conclusion of these processes.
All right, Mr. Katta, we do hope indeed to be getting you subsequently as the process unfolds around the implementation of the tripartite document. He's Ngolo Katta. You'll be listening to him. He's the national coordinator for the Tripartite Steering Committee. This concludes this particular segment. We're going for a short break, and we'll hear from Mama Tommy on Business Update.
Today on Business Update, attention turns to Sierra Leone's petroleum sector, where a turbulent global oil market is beginning to shape the price and supply outlook of fuel across the country. The National Petroleum Regulatory Authority has announced a fresh adjustment in pump prices. Petrol will now sell at 32 leones per litre, while diesel rises to 35 leones per litre nationwide. The revision comes amid continued volatility in international oil markets. The violence is largely driven in part by geopolitical tension between Iran and US, backed by Israel, affecting global supply routes and energy trade. Under Sierra Leone's petroleum pricing framework, the final pump price incorporates several statutory charges, including the road user levy and the excise duties. These duties are embedded in the price consumer pay at the pump. While they are intended to support road maintenance and infrastructure development, many good governance campaigners, including Edmond Abu, who heads the Native Consortium and Research Center, have questioned the timing in the face of global shocks in the oil market.
Our problem is that the oil market has now controlled the system. They can hold the country hostage at any time and pressure the government to increase prices, among other things, within the pricing formula.
Fuel-related road charges are not new. Research into Sierra Leone's road financing system shows that the road fund, established in 1989 and later incorporated into the Sierra Leone Roads Authority Act of 1992, has long relied on fuel levies as source of revenue. Studies suggest that such levies account for roughly 60% of the fund's resources, making them central to financing road maintenance nationwide. The Minister of Trade and Industry, Hon.Alpha Kanu, says Sierra Leone currently holds petroleum reserves sufficient to last for about 40 days, with additional shipments expected in the coming weeks to stabilize supply.
Yes, for supplies we get for petrol.
For petrol, we have what will take us for about 50 days. And for diesel, we have what will take us for over 40 days.
You know, we get fuel.
The regulatory authority says fuel prices are determined through a full pass-through pricing formula which reflects international crude oil prices, freight and shipping costs, import duties, exchange rate movements, distribution margins, and statutory levies. Recent fiscal measures are also shaping the petroleum sector. The Finance Act 2026, approved by Parliament, includes an increment of about 5 leones on excise duty aimed at strengthening domestic revenue.
The dealers are now making the situation worse. They add their own prices on top of the official ones. Fuel stations are opening in dozens every year. Some of them claim they are struggling and not making enough profit, yet they open 10 stations in a single year. Where is the money coming from, especially during this crisis?
I cover this kind of excess profit, and particularly this time.
Economists say higher fuel costs could eventually influence the price of goods, including food supplies transported across the country. Sierra Leone's revenue reforms form part of the broader fiscal adjustment programs often implemented with support from international partners such as the International Monetary Fund, which typically encourages market-based pricing systems in sectors like fuel. In the capital, Freetown, commercial motorbike riders, locally known as Okada riders, say the increase in petrol prices is already affecting their daily operations and earnings.
Fuel prices have increased significantly, rising from 27 leones to 32 leones per litre. The situation has made things very difficult for us. Unfortunately, we often face complaints from passengers who believe we are the ones increasing transport fares, forgetting that the fuel price hike is beyond our control.
Passengers tend to misunderstand the situation. When fuel prices rise, they accuse us of increasing fares unnecessarily and ask us to reduce the cost. But how can we do that when fuel has moved from 27 leones to 32 leones per litre? The only option we have is to adjust fares when fuel prices go up and reduce them again when prices fall.
It is clear that the situation is not our fault. We are appealing to the government to support us by helping to bring the fuel price down a bit. Bike riding is our business and main source of livelihood, and it is difficult to keep operating when fuel costs are this high. We continue to hope and pray that things will improve for our country despite the current challenges.
There's growing public criticism of the government following the recent increase in fuel prices. Many citizens and civil society voices are urging the authorities to consider removing at least one cluster of the fuel-related levies, arguing that such a measure could help cushion the financial impact on the general public and ease the rising cost of living. Authorities say they will continue to monitor development in global oil market as well as domestic supply levels in an effort to maintain stability in the petroleum sector. Rounding off, here today's mid-market exchange rate, courtesy of the Bank of Sierra Leone. The US dollar stands at 22.72 leones, the British pound sterling is at 30.11 leones, and the euro is at 26.00 leones. Well, that's all for Business Update. I'm Maya Matomi. Thanks for watching.
Many thanks indeed to Maya Matomi for that business update. Welcome back. You're still watching Wake Up Sierra Leone on the Africa Young Voices. I'm sure you're hearing us on radio this morning on 101.7 FM. We're also on DSTV, which is our international channel. It is 399. and you're also privileged to watch us on YouTube now and TikTok as well. You know, we're also on Facebook as we've been streaming. Now, in this final segment, the presidential spokesman, Honorable Hon.Alpha Kanu, has joined us this morning to talk about what you saw yesterday, the Tripartite Summit on border dispute convened in Conakry between Sierra Leone, Guinea and Liberia, where leaders reaffirmed their commitment to maintaining stability, you know, among the shared borders, enhancing security, cooperation, and strengthening bonds of neighborliness among the three nations. Good morning, Alhaji. It's a pleasure having you.
Good morning.
Let's understand, you know, the nitty-gritties of this agreement in the first place. What's inside this for us in Sierra Leone?
Well, I'll say it's good news for us. We've been having some anxious moments very recently when border incursions were reported at Falaba and Yenga, where Yenga is historic. Falaba was new. So that sparks the conscience that something unacceptable is happening. But instead of us retaliating by sending troops to the border, Excellency President Dr. Julius Maada Bio, who has been a soldier himself, he knows what conflict brings. He knows that peace is better when it is discussed at the table, first before you go to war. So he decided that the best thing to do is, as chairman of the ECOWAS, is to start with the local court, in this case being the Mano River Union, before you go on to the magistrate's court. So he decided that this was good. So the meeting was convened as a summit, the first since the last 10 years. I think this was the first one. And incidentally, the last election, the last summit also was about this border incursion. By that time, it was only Yenga. It was resolved with a communique, and that has lasted for us. But the meeting itself came out very positive, in the sense that all three leaders agreed that we live in sister countries that have fraternal relations and very friendly, and our people intermingle among themselves. They coexist. You can hardly tell a Guinean from Sierra Leone, except when they speak the various languages. The same for Liberia, you know, that we are the same people, and that we should not encourage these kind of things. And if they do happen, there should be better ways of addressing them. And we have the Mano River Union as a platform, which mercifully for us, the Côte d'Ivoire is also a member. So they came in to attend the meeting as an observer, and also to provide a moral guarantorship into the deliberations. They were successful, a very friendly atmosphere, and at the end of the day, the communique that came out is one that we had been expecting, that everybody should respect the sovereignty of each other, and that everybody should respect the borders of each other. Where we have difficulty of defining what constitutes the border, there should be some technical ways of resolving that rather than by military means. And of course, for the people living in the borders, it was agreed that immediately after the signature of the communiques, whatever deployments had been made at the border points should be withdrawn. And I think if it has not been withdrawn, it is in the process of happening, and that a joint border committee should be set up, like we used to have in the past, and they can patrol the borders. It's about 350 to 500 kilometers of border between us and Guinea, you know, and when you extend it to Liberia, it's almost 1,000 kilometers among the three countries. So it is very important that friendly and peaceful relations happen there, especially for the littoral populations living in that area. So for us, I think that was a good move by His Excellency the President to follow the diplomatic means rather than confrontation.
Did you talk about Yenga in any way? these negotiations?
Yes, Yenga and Falaba. When we talk about the border, we talk about all border points.
Okay.
Yenga is an area that they talked about. Falaba is an area. Also, Pamlap. These are border areas where you have people going in and coming. Don't forget that there is a territory in between the countries. All countries, in fact. Usually about 1 kilometer wide. In some countries, about 5 kilometers. They call the no man's land. That is what constitutes the border. It's not just a line that's drawn. So you can actually have people going into that no man's land, others coming into that no man's land. And at some point, because it is not defined as to who it belongs to, then that could become a trigger point for border disputes. So those border points, the no man's land, there are people living there. And these people are always anxious when things like this happen. So we need to have a better way of addressing issues like that, so the peace and welfare of those people is not threatened.
What's the bottom line? Have you actually ruled any definitive thing you have to tell us this morning about, I mean, who owns Yenga now? Or is that what you discussed, or just separate
the dispute, the ownership of Yenga is not in dispute. It is the incursion that is in dispute. Yenga is the territory of Sierra Leone. It's across the Makona River.
Have they acknowledged that?
Well, acknowledging it means that the matter is over. But because it's a dispute at the moment, it has to be made, crystal clear that it is a part of Sierra Leone. The Makona River normally should be the border point. It's a natural border. Like you have mountains, you have valleys and rivers, they use them for border points. But like I said, there's always, on the banks of the river, there is a no man's land. So across the Makona River, a few hundred feet or something like that, is no man's land going to the bank. Which means I can come there as a Sierra Leonean. The Guineans can come there as no man's land. Across the Makona River on the other side, there's another 100, 200, 300 feet, which is also defined as the no man's land. It's not just the river, the waterway. The banks also involved. So people move into those areas from time to time. So when the Guineans came to help us with the war that started in 1991, everybody who goes to war, as a principle, it's better the war is fought in somebody's territory than in mine, because if we fight in my own house, you break my cups and you break my glasses. So when they came to help us, they crossed over the river into that no man's land and occupied it to make sure that the war does not transfer, the rebellion doesn't transfer onto that side. And that's been since 35 years ago in 1991. And a lot of people who crossed over at that time, some of them no longer live. The children they born, they got married there, they have families there now. So the younger ones who come, some of them don't actually know the story of their being there. They were just born there. This is Naya, my papa born me, and this is my home. So some of these people happen to be within the army and all that. And the question of ownership now starts to rear its head. You know, at first you will ignore that because of the protocols that guide us within the Mano River Union, within the ECOWAS and the African Union, the freedom of movement of people and goods. You ignore that. But when things like this spark, when somebody says, this is mine, they want to plant a flag in your own area and all that, that is a trigger point that you must take action. So yes, it will be defined, but the concrete action is this, that there's going to be a joint border patrol, and this will patrol from time to time. There's going to be another Mano River Union meeting within a month, so that we can put into the modalities as how we plan to try and resolve that matter definitively. And the next thing is that probably to go back to the old colonial maps and get international experts to work with us. We know that this happened between Nigeria and Cameroon so many years ago. And Cameroon ceded their territory, well, allowed their territory during the Nigerian Civil War. Some Nigerians moved into Bakassi, stayed there. That was from 1967 until recently, they were there. So So for those who were born after the war and all that, they believe this is my home, this is Nigeria. And even the government also believed that the Bakassi was theirs. Until the UN came in and decided that this is territory that was actually allowed to be used as a refugee point by the Nigerians. So that was sent back, it was given back to Cameroon. And with the kind of presidents they have, peace-loving president also, President Olusegun Obasanjo, he accepted and asked the Nigerians to move. Those who wanted to stay, you can stay there, but then you'll be called Cameroonians, not Nigerians anymore. Some stayed, some went back to the Nigerian mainland. So that's the kind of thing. But what is important for us here is that the agency of the UN that took lead in the resolution of this matter, it was called UNOWAS, United Nations Office for West Africa and the Sahel, which is based in Dakar. But at that time, our current vice president was one of the officials who were working at the UNOWAS in Dakar, and of course he is privy to most of the steps that are taken to resolve this matter. So because he has that kind of experience, for me I think we're lucky that if we have to go into international arbitration, his experience in the resolution of the Bakassi Peninsula.
Can that happen in the next 2 years?
I think it will happen even earlier than the next 2 years, because the next meeting, within 1 month, as the communique stated yesterday, on Monday, will be one that determines how soon that can happen. And I think it is now urgent. The fact that it is not only between Sierra Leone and Guinea anymore, that Liberia also has now been involved in cross-border incursions with the Guineans, then it is becoming serious. So for that, it will be treated as a matter of urgency.
Yesterday I saw a video. I mean, a guy was interviewed in Keleria, one of the towns there. And I was surprised to learn that, you know, they were using, you know, the Guinean, you know, tender instead of our Leones. And in fact, the guy said much of what they produce there is being sold in Guinea. Are you worried in any way?
It's distance.
It's
distance, accessibility to market. To come to Freetown.
Is it normal to use a foreign tender in your country, in another country? Is it?
They use the Leones in Guinea also. Conakry too. I take my Leones to Conakry and I'm able to use them, change them. Some market people receive them because they trade with Sierra Leoneans. So that is not an infraction of any sort.
But we're losing, aren't we?
Sorry,
because much of the goods that are produced there.
We are using dollar here. We're using trillions here. People come here and they say, oh, I will pay in dollar and all that.
Not the currency I'm talking about now. The goods these people are producing, using their time, effort and money to grow, to produce, even their palm oil, they're being sold. I mean,
That's what I'm saying. It's access to market. What the trader wants to do is to sell quickly and cheaply, in a way. So if it is difficult to get to Kabbalah,
so they stand to benefit more.
It's shorter to go to I don't know what is I don't know what the city that's the next in Guinea, that is a big town that they can sell in. They'll go there and sell because we are the same people. We eat the same foods. We wear the same clothes. So anything you have, if it can be sold here, it can be sold there. If it is easier and shorter for me to go to Guinea, they'll go there.
This agreement you have actually signed to, what else are we going to benefit from it? I know we've talked about, you know, settling a long, you know, gray-haired dispute between, you know, Guinea and Sierra Leone for Yenga. But what else is there for us, you know, apart from the Yenga issue, of course, or border security?
The consolidation of peace. The promise for peaceful coexistence. For me, that is paramount. Because when there's peace and there's freedom of movement of people, that opens up the economies. That makes my trader here have access to the markets in Guinea. That makes the trader in Guinea have access to here. That makes our port here available to the Guineans to import their goods here and transit them into Guinea. It gives the opportunity for the Liberians, their goods to come here and be driven to other places in Liberia that are much more remote from Monrovia than they are from Freetown. For example, the Simandu iron ore project they have, initially, before before all these problems. The intention was to ship that ore to Sierra Leone because Freetown was nearer to the ore body than it is in Guinea. But now they've decided to do it there. But even at that, the port is only 18 miles. The new port of Morbaya is only 18 miles from Cambia. So it's so close. When that kind of thing, the impact of that development there will overflow into Samu, it will overflow into Guinea, it will overflow into Dixon chiefdoms and Cambia in general. And by extension, maybe Port Loko even. So this kind of thing, when there is peace and peaceful coexistence between us, the economies are open. We are now have a bigger market. Guinea is about 15 million people. We are 8 million. That is together 23 million. All right. If you add the 4 million for Liberia, that's about 27 million. It's a huge market. When this better than just an 8 million people market. You understand? If I can sell something for 1 Leone and the 10 million people buy it, I will have 10 million Leones. But if you have 8 million and only 2 million people buy, you will have 2 million. So the opportunity to grow, the empowerment for business people and all that, both men and women, young and old, is enormous. So the peace dividend is what we are looking for, and that is what our president stands for.
Alhaji, I'll come back to you in a jiffy. Let me hear from Ransford McLean to give us a sport update this morning. Then we'll come back to finish up. Good morning, Ransford.
Very good morning, Victor Jones. Thank you very much for having me for sport this morning. Now for our first story in sports that has to do with what's happening in the continent, precisely Morocco, have been declared the winner of the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations after the Confederation of African Football, that's the CAF Disciplinary Board precisely, CAF overturned the results of the defeat to Senegal. That's happened on 18th January this year. That's 52 days barely. Senegal beat Morocco 1-0 in the final on 18th, as I mentioned, in a match which was overshadowed when the Senegalese players refused to play after the host were awarded penalty on the stoppage time with and goalless after the match. However, the CAF Appeal Board statement cited Article 84 of the regulations that the Senegal national team is declared to have forfeited the match, with the results recorded as a 3-0 in favor of Morocco. According to reports, the Federation Senegalese the football has decided to appeal on the CAF's decision at the Court of Arbitration for Sport, that's FIFA. This decision, many have decided consider it as unprecedented. Well, now we move what's happening at home here. Preparations for the upcoming FIFA series gathered momentum as the Leone Stars began training with 26 home-based players ahead of the international tournament in Azerbaijan. Head coach Mohamed Kalon supervised the first session, focusing on assessing local talents as Sierra Leone intensifies readiness for the FIFA competition later this month. Well, we look forward for that as well. And finally, in local to tennis, the Sierra Leone Tennis Association has officially signed a one-year partnership agreement with a tech-led organization that's wholly limited, aimed at promoting tennis and supporting the development of young athletes across the country, the Sierra Leone. The agreement is designed to strengthen the growth of tennis in the country. President of the association, that's Andy Bam, says they are delighted to sign the Memorandum of Understanding for the overall development of the sports, especially for young athletes in Sierra Leone. Mohamed Zikoba was in attendance and take us to speed.
It was a symbolical signing ceremony between the Sierra Leone Tennis Association and their potential partner, Colleague Limited, with the sole objective to promote and develop young athletes and the overall development of tennis in Sierra Leone. Speaking on behalf of Colleague Limited, the managing director, Cynthia Tusuma, highlighted the significance of their partnership while emphasizing its potential benefit for athletes and the future of tennis in Sierra Leone.
usage of drugs, drug abuse, and so forth. And we are also trying to be part of the growth for the nation of Sierra Leone. And so partnering with the Sierra Leone Sports Tennis Association really helps. It's one of the ways we're trying to encourage young people to go into sport. I spoke about resilience and I spoke about discipline earlier. When you're playing sport, you do automatically become very disciplined. And so this initiative is just one step into something bigger for us. It's important to also encourage the youth. Instead of sitting, do something, movement, you know. And also we're living in a world of digitization. You know, as Koli, we are aware that, you know, even if there's digitalization, it means that people don't move. You know, the youth, the children are always on.
In his remarks, Annie Bam, president of the Sierra Leone Tennis Association, described the agreement as a timely initiative that will create better pathway for players and contribute to sustainable development within the sport.
My vision to transform tennis in the country, and to have this partnership with Koli, it's a great opportunity and it's a great privilege for us. And so I want to say thank you, first of all, for giving us this opportunity to be part of this signing ceremony today. The SLTA, the Sierra Leone Tennis Association, over the years, we have had some tussles, but we are happy that we are moving forward and with our transformative efforts. Over the years, few years after the hitch, we have tried very hard to transform tennis in the country. We've had a couple of tournaments, and in line with that, we've had few contracts and MOUs, and it's a great pleasure to have one with Koli, and we are.
Following the signing ceremony, representatives of both organizations were also seen displaying their tennis skills during a friendly session, symbolizing the spirit of collaboration and commitment. Mohamed Zikuba, AYV Sports, Freetown.
And finally, as I close this morning, the Champions League of resumes. Last evening was interesting to see, you know, in the round of 16, big matches played. Man City, 10-man Man City, lose at home to Real Madrid by 2-1. Paris Saint-Germain sailed through as well. They walloped Chelsea in an aggregate of 8-2. They defeated Chelsea 3-0 in the second leg. And we see as well very good match, you know, on that. But let me just Arsenal. That's the good news for fans of Arsenal. They also progressed to quarterfinals. They defeated Liverpool 2-0 at the Emirates Stadium. But of course, this evening we're going to see interesting fixtures. You know, as Barcelona will entertain Newcastle, first leg in 1-0, and Tottenham as well will battle against Atletico Madrid, whilst Liverpool will play against Turkish side as Galatasaray and Bayern Munich, Atalanta. Of course, those are the matches lined up for you for the UEFA Champions League. Of course, we'll bring you more in-depth analysis of those matches and the current happening in the continent of CAF decision, the appeals board precisely. And that's all for sports this morning on Wake Up Sierra Leone. And over to you, Victor Jones in the main studio.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed, Ransford. Al-Haji, a while ago, the main opposition, Obus Congress, had, you know, decided, you know, to boycott all government activities. Now, one of their members told us in this very studio a while ago that, you know, on the day of their second meeting, there was a correspondence from, you know, State House, you know, informing them of a meeting with the president, but they couldn't attend. When next do you think, you know, State House can call them to this meeting? Because the longer they stay off governance, the longer it would take, you know, to fix things, and they would continue to disrupt, you know, normal operations. You know, so do you think it will happen sooner or later?
I think you should give them the opportunity to exercise their right. They believe it is their right to stay out of Parliament. But they're staying out of Parliament. I'll repeat here again, it may sound like a broken record, will not disrupt the functioning of government. Parliament makes laws. Parliament oversights. Parliament does not run the country. It is the executive that runs the country, headed by His Excellency the President. When matters concerning the executive or lawmaking are taken to Parliament, there are very clear rules of engagement in Parliament. That for Parliament to function and be effective and for decisions to be legitimate and legal, there must be a quorum. A quorum means a quarter of all the people elected as parliamentarians, MPs. In our country, it's about 132 parliamentarians that we have. A quarter of that is about 33, 34 people. So anytime you have a quorum, I mean the 34 members of Parliament, you can actually, the business of Parliament will proceed and conduct proceedings. So it will not disrupt. You can pass laws with that. You can debate, you can oversight, you can, as long as you have a quorum. Much the same way that happens in board meetings or corporate organizations or even clubs or social clubs, things like that. So that's very clear. So they're not being in Parliament will not disrupt the running of government. It is an inconvenience, the fact that they were supposed to be there to represent their people. As for me, I feel really cheated. Cheated in the sense that I am a constituent from Port Loko district, where I have 10 members of Parliament representing my interest and all of the interests of the 550,000 people in Port Loko district. We choose 10 of them to represent us. If 6 of them, 60% say they're not going to go, there are 4 who will represent us. Well, it's not, for me, it's not adequate for us. We're not being adequately represented. So for me, those who will stay out of it, it's a dereliction of duty. We sent them to represent us, and they run away from the battlefield. For me, it is not. It is an inconvenience for us, the people of Port Loko, and for them also. It shows that they are not understanding the dictates of the Constitution and the procedures of Parliament, or they are deliberately misinterpreting or misdirecting themselves on that. But like I said, always. Political parties really need to be led by people who sit in Parliament. We enjoyed that luxury before, because when I was a member of Parliament, 2002 to 2007, all of our leadership of the APC in opposition, we were in Parliament. So most of our opposition, we did it in Parliament. It's not outside. Because like they say, when you're on the inside, you can make demands. When you are outside, you can only shout. So what they're doing now is shouting. The real opposition should have been in Parliament to oppose the approval of the Electoral Commission. They were not there. If they were there, they could have. We've seen that. It happened with us. In 2007, there was a bill to redemarcate the constitutions, the constituencies. Was taken there by Dr. Christian Atop. We on the APC side were in favor of the redemarcation. The SLPP was not in favor. The SLPP had 85 members of Parliament at the time. We were only 27, and not all of us were present. I think 2 were absent that day, but 25. But when we went into the debate and into the nitty-gritty, as you see, the merits and demerits of the bill, our arguments became superior to the extent that the leadership of the SLP were the very first to vote yes to our own motion. And at the end of the day, we were able to carry the motion with 58 votes, with only 25 of us on our side. So in Parliament, if you go there to really represent your people, work for the country, for the public interest and things like that, without having this party lens in front of you, the kind of thing, you can work effectively. So if they had gone there that day and they had really very important issues to raise, which may impact on the nomination of the commissioner, they might have been able to win some people over.
They're saying they've been boxed to the corner. That's what they're saying.
How could they
they're not being heard.
How could they have been boxed to the corner? You're in Parliament to be heard. If you not go parliament, not for talk. That's why it's called parliament, from the French word parler. Talk, speak. And your work is to represent your people. House of Representatives. It is the House of Representatives that houses the parliament. You go there to represent your people and to parler, to talk for them. 550,000 of us cannot come from Port Loko and go and sit in that cabinet. No, so we choose 10. Of those 10, if 6 of them say they're not going to go, they're cheating us. So I'm telling them they're making a big mistake. But beyond that, they have extended this to the councils. The council should not even be political. The essence of a council is not to make laws. The essence of a council is to deliver services to the communities that they represent. In other words, you are decentralizing the functions of central government to the people. You actually should be working with central government. And it is very clear in the Act of 2009 as amended. All right? Section 20 says that the Minister of Local Government and Civil and the Community Affairs has the right to direct policy for the councils and actually institute actions in the council, working through the elected officials there, or the chief administrators and things like that. He has that. Which means, if the council is not working, the minister could go there and appoint somebody else to do the work for him. That's Section 20. But there's a Section 81, which says that if a councillor or something like is found wanting or something like that, it can be brought, and a councillor includes the mayor or chairman of anything, like they're all councillors. They can be brought into an inquiry for the matter to be inquired upon, and if found wanting, there are sanctions. That's Section 81. And other sanctions could lead to Section 95. And Section 95 says that you can actually expel or suspend a councillor for those kind of demeanors. But what is most important is Section 108. Section 108 says the councils are there to provide services to the communities. If they're not, because of illegality, if they're not because of disruptive behavior and all that sort of thing, the president of the country has the right to take over the functions of the council and can appoint other people to sit there for 90 days, approved by Parliament, for 90 days. After 90 days, you call another election. Or, if the matter is resolved, you can reinstate those councillors. But if you don't, you can call another election. Or, if it is too close to the end of the term of the election, you go back to Parliament and they will extend the period for which the president can take over the council till the end of the term. So there are really very more serious consequences for councillors than for parliamentarians. The parliamentarians have a holiday of 30 days, 30 sittings. The councillors don't have a day, not even an hour, because the communities need services every day. The schools in your community have to be looked after, the hospitals which are under you, the security situation in your community, the sanitation in the community and all that has to be looked after, right? And so if you, for a minute, you allow that to falter, there are provisions in this Act of 2009, and we all know who was in power in 2009. We were there at the time. I was a member of the APC and a member of government at the time. We passed that act, and these are the acts that are extant at the moment, which this government has never changed. The government of Madabio has never changed. It is the same. So all of these 4 triggers are there. So the councillors stand a more precarious brink of falling over than the MPs. They are given time to think about it. You don't have any time. So my message to the councillors is that please go back to work, because you can be removed tomorrow by the law that we made. The APC is there, and that is the function.
I think what I'll finally ask Alhaji is this: do you think it's possible for the president to call them soon to a round table, which is what they've been clamoring for the longest time?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure the president wants to work with everybody. He wants, you see, it's like a jigsaw. Running the country is like a jigsaw. Everybody fits. You are right here. If you are not here, that position will be vacant. If it is vacant, then this function will not be happening. I am here because I am the presidential spokesman. If I'm not there, maybe somebody else will, but that position has to be filled. It's a jigsaw. If you leave it open, the jigsaw is not complete. If it's a map you are drawing, that map is not complete. If it is something you're building, it will not be complete. So yes, the president wants them to go back. It is good for them, it's good for democracy, it's good for Sierra Leone, them to go back. But the point that they are using to stay out of parliament, it is just an exercise in futility. They know that the president never contravened the constitution, neither the standing orders, neither the regulations that follow it, or the conventions for that matter. So for me, I am asking them, please, be wise. Use your wisdom from the head, not the heart. What you're doing now, you're thinking we need a heart. Heart is love, is emotion and all that. We're not interested in emotion. We're interested in objectivity. Use your head, the mind. What does the book tell you? What does the Constitution tell you? The president has the right. And Section 32(3) to appoint and inform you and consult you. They've done all that. So if he has done that, why do you now want to misinterpret? You're playing victim. You're playing victim to the people. The people will not be sorry for you. They won't feel sorry for you. They want you to go and represent them. You're not there. You've left the gate open. You left the gate open and it's going to fall and things will happen. So please, go back to the councils and go back to Parliament. Represent us. We in Port Loco need our councillors. If they don't, the president has the right. The minister has the right to do otherwise. For you, ministers, MPs, the clock is ticking.
Right.
30 sittings.
Honorable Hon.Alpha Kanu is presidential spokesperson. We've been talking about, the tripartite, summit on border disputes convened in Conakry between Sierra Leone, among Sierra Leone, Guinea and Liberia, of course, and of course the increased security as he's put it this morning, as you're about to see. And of course another meeting will be convened in a month from now, as you've heard from him, which will primarily center around the settlement of these border disputes, including, the much talked about, Yenga. Well, thank you so much, Alhaji. It's a pleasure having you this morning, and I want to say happy holidays in advance.
Thank you.
All right, this is where I will say goodbye for today. It's been quite interactive this morning. We've heard from the head of the steering committee, the Tripartite, committee, Ngolo Katta. He has said a lot, about what they've done and what remains to be done, whilst they are trying to enact, if you like, or steer the formation or implementation of these 80 recommendations. He has said that they've already implemented 85 and the remaining 15% of the total of 100 that remains. So we shall be hearing from them from time to time. And thanks indeed to the crew this morning, the producer, and those who are on TriCaster. Of course, I want to say thank you very much indeed to Rokel Commercial Bank, who are our sponsors, and of course to you, our valued audiences across the globe, from wherever you've been watching us from this morning. Victor Jones are my names. Continue to watch the AYV for more programs right through the day. Goodbye.